Well, what's this thing about fans pretending to have watched players?
1 second.
Do it. Go.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of TouchlineFracas, our first using the Riverside FM platform. Evening I can't really see who you guys are, so I'm going to read off the list I have and hopefully those are the people that have shown up. So, Seb, are you one of these 5 grainy screens that I can see?
Yes. I'm here, live in the flesh, man. Live in the flesh.
Good to see. Good to kind of see you. Shabs.
Yo.
Of Touchy Gooner's fame. How are you doing, mate?
I'm here, man. Happy to be back again, man. Yeah.
Happy to have you. Some may ask why you aren't wearing an Arsenal top.
Well,
in your.
Listen.
Well,
big man could do
we'll get into that.
Big man could do what he wants.
Yeah, of course you can, but rep your club, innit? Rep your ends, as they say. Disu looking like he's come fresh from the Teddy Riley versus Baby battle with the velvet do-rag.
I didn't imagine you see me. I'm trying to be inconspicuous and that in the darkness. You know, can't let the enemies know what man's about.
Yeah, we hear you.
9 a.m. baby.
Pelumi, how you doing, mate? Stay on brand always. Yeah. Always be closing. Pelumi, how's it going, mate?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Man's got a black screen like BBN.
Yeah, we're not too bad. It's been a while since we've seen you. We're not seeing you now, it's been a while, I should say.
Pelumi coming like Stig from Top Gear.
For real, that might be his new nickname.
What is this, the GoPro plan?
And and Harold featuring several boxes of Nike trainers.
Come on.
Obviously got
secure the bag, man. Yeah, you know it's coming.
Yeah.
I'm just betting on Trent 3 corners every game and making a killer, bro.
Trent plus 10 crosses.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. Factory.
Cool. So we're gonna start off just talking about some of the recent news in football Twitter and football in general. I think probably the biggest news, I think that's probably going to affect most of our clubs in some way, shape or form, is the fact that it looks like Newcastle are about to be bought out by quite the consortium. I mean, it's headed up by the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salam, who's got a net worth of 7 billion, and his public investment fund has a net worth of 260 billion. Joined by a couple of other backers who have like a combined net worth of almost 20 billion. So we're talking big money here, lads. Who's worried? I'll start with you, Shabs. I don't know why. Obviously, that's not me mentioning the fact that Arsenal only have 6 million when you use them on Football Manager. But basically, another club with lots of money come to join a league full of clubs with lots of money. What are your initial thoughts?
I think it's good. Like from a objective stance, it's good for Newcastle. It's good for their fans. Them lot have suffered enough, under that Mike Ashley bastard.
Oh wow!
Yeah, man, suffered enough, man. But Newcastle are a big-ish club in terms of like they've got a big stadium, a huge fan base.
History.
They've been like
No. Let's unpack that. So they've got a big stadium, 50,000 seater, I believe. When you say they have a big fan base, I don't think they have any fans outside the city.
No, the whole of Newcastle. It's the whole of Newcastle.
Yeah, but they've also got Sunderland. So Newcastle's who are taking some fans from that area as well. But if we're saying that the whole population of Newcastle is what, 250,000? We call that a big fan base relative to teams in the Prem who have got that global reach.
In that they don't have the global reach. I don't think so. They don't have the European reach. But in that they've got a 50,000 seater stadium. They've had this stadium for the majority of the Premier League era, and they've managed to almost always sell out their stadium week in, week out. That
has nothing to do with Newcastle, bro. Them man are poor.
What do you say?
Them man are poor.
They're one club city. So they've got that advantage.
I think they do well to sell out 50,000 seats every week, whatever the weather. So I think for them coming back to the original question, the original point, I think like it's time for a change. it's good for them. I'm not particularly worried though, because I don't think that they'll hit the heights overnight. I think it's a rebuilding job. And I think like Newcastle don't have a particularly good. They don't have a good infrastructure. They don't have like amazing players who come out of the academy. They don't have. They don't. And can they attract big players right now? I don't know. They could go that Man City route and try and get like 1-2 marquees, but like we were saying earlier, they don't have that. They don't have that pulling power. So if they're going to throw the bag at players, and then they might get like the one-off. Like you might get a player who's had like a big reputation, who's not really playing at his club right now, and they might just pull him for the racks. You know what I mean? But it's going to take some time, so I'm not particularly worried about them right now. But if they do it right, if they go about themselves the right way, recruit right, get the infrastructure in place, get a bit of a structure as far as players coming through, but also recruiting well, they can become a problem in a couple of years' time.
You say a couple of years. Transfer market has the value of their squad right now at 221 million. Just to give you an idea of clubs above them and the level I guess they're aspiring to over the next few years. Wolves' team is valued at 296 million. Everton's at 367 million. Arsenal at 520 million. And Manchester City at 916 million. I think we can say that City probably are the blueprint for City and Chelsea, I guess, are the blueprint for clubs coming in and trying to make a wave in the Premier League with foreign money. With everything that's gone on with FFP, Milan got their 1-year ban. City, their 2-year ban is pending, but obviously, fingers crossed. Yeah. Shabs said a couple of years. Shabs said a couple of years. How long do you think it realistically will take them to get from that club or that team that's worth around the 200 million mark to getting up to that 500-600 million squad that it seems that you need if you want to get into the Champions League?
First of all, it depends on if these men are really on splashing. So if they're on splashing and FFP starts to get relaxed, then the process could be really accelerated. Because if you look at what City did, is that, do you know these players that are highly rated and top clubs want, but at current market value, the clubs like, so you're talking about Valencia, David Silva, Atleti with Aguero, the prices quoted for these players was a bit on the high side. You see what I'm saying? But City were willing to pay that premium and willing to pay even more wages. It's kind of like a small club tax just to make sure that they get these players in. Chelsea did the same, where they slightly paid over the odds for the likes of kind of maybe like Wright Phillips and all these other very, very good players who might not be at popping clubs yet. So
Wright Phillips, Didier Drogba.
So if Newcastle take that approach, then they can increase the quality of their squad quite significantly. Then again, Shav's made a very good point about infrastructure, because bare man have blown the bag. So I'm saying Everton spend quite a lot of money every year. West Ham has spent quite a lot of money. We see Milan spent loads of P's on absolute bums, like on complete and utter bums. So you can blow the bag, and you can just be in situations where you've got a bloated squad with man on big wages, and you can't get rid of them. Because remember, City had quite a few bums. Like they had like Roque Santa Cruz and a couple man.
He wasn't a bum.
No, he was a bum.
No, come on, man.
No, he wasn't a bum.
Come on, we're not riding for Roque Santa.
This is a team that was banging out with Aguero and Zeko, and you talk about Santa Cruz wasn't a bum. Please.
Nah, he wasn't a bum.
He's not a bum, but he had one season where he cut 19 goals, and then his numbers either side of that are fugazi.
He was on that
his numbers either side. I used to look for him, like Football Manager days. I used to look for him because he was one of them strikers you could get
value in the market.
In real life.
I hate these man like Belotti will give you a cheeky 1 year. You're like, oh, man's sick.
His
and then you look at the digits and everything else is cack. So, inflated. You be in a position where you have loads of players that cost 25, 30, 40 million pounds. They're on 100 bags, but they're actually high. And you can't really shift them because nobody wants to buy them and they're expensive on the wage bill. But you need to shift them to create space and create revenue to buy other players. So it depends on what Shab said. Like if they get infrastructure patterned, then in maybe 2 or 3 seasons, they could be in that top 6 battle. Because right now, if I'm looking at the squad right now, they don't really have that many pieces. I like Saint Maxan. That's about it, really.
Yeah, John Doe
I'm gonna read down. I'm gonna read down some of the names of their
I
stalwarts,
think it's horrible,
and
man.
you lot can let me know what you think. Martin Dubravka in goal.
Decent.
He's
He's
all right for
decent.
now. He's all right. He's all
Decent.
right. He's
Yeah.
decent.
A couple of other keepers, Carl Darlow and Rob Elliott.
Forget
No,
it.
no, no. Forget that, man.
Jamal Lascelles. What do you not think of Jamal?
Decent.
Nah, man.
He's decent.
No, I
For
don't
now.
think he's decent. I don't think he's decent. I think he's rash. He just gets away with it because he has a decent
He's a
trim.
thug.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he got a
Honestly,
decent trim.
He is, yeah, literally. He's a thug. Real talk.
For Newcastle for right now, he's decent.
No, he's,
Yeah,
he's solid.
yeah,
He's
yeah.
a solid centre half.
For them for right now, he's okay.
Fabian Shah.
Yeah, he's good. He's good. No, he's good.
Federico Fernandez. These are all centre backs, by the way. Federico Fernandez.
I ain't never heard of him.
Florian Lejeune. I'm gonna stop in a minute, man.
Yeah, please.
Name three of his albums. Name three of his albums.
3-1 at home versus Man United. Are we going down into the Championship? Oh, wow, you brought Steve Bruce back again. Cool. Those are the 3 albums I know. You got Danny Rose at left back, Paul Dummett, Jethro Williams at left back,
Jethro Williams is
Yedlin at
okay.
right back.
Jethro Williams is
Yeah, no,
okay.
that
You
is-
saw him do
The
that
black
one.
guy.
No,
You saw him do that.
No,
You saw
that
him do that.
No, he scored that- but he was decent in
He scored
Holland.
one banger
No, he was
against
decent in
Liverpool
Holland.
and City as
for the
well, I
rest of the
think.
game. I got sauced on for the rest of the game, blood. He's
He-
fucking
he-
whack.
Yeah, man, them are telling me he's a prospect still.
He's okay.
Yeah, he's a prospect.
He's
He's
okay to be a
What?
prospect.
He hit Trent with the hezi.
So, man, I think so. You know, they got the Longstaff brothers. They got John Joe Selvey.
Trash.
They've got Bentaleb on loan. I ain't seen him all season.
No, he
we
only
got
came in
Almiron.
January, I think, and he only played 3 games. Bentaleb.
What? Who Bentaleb?
Yeah, I think he only
Alright.
come in January. He only
Henry.
played a couple of games.
Okay. What do you not think of Almiron? He's an interesting
fucking
little one.
whack.
Waste, man. Waste of space.
Whack, man.
Waste of space.
Wow,
Nice.
tough crowd.
Whack.
Pelumi, you always seem to be a bit more of a measured opinion. What do you think of Almiron?
A lot of he's very busy, but he doesn't do much in terms of production. I think he's got a lot of
He's whack.
yeah.
Swiftly moving on.
You know what I
Swiftly
mean?
moving on.
Pants.
We got Atsu, we got Joe Linton, we got Dwight Gale.
No, I really
we
hate
got
Joe
Andy
Linton, you
Carroll,
know.
and we got
I have a mad hate for that guy.
Why?
What?
I don't know
Can
how
you
I
explain
don't know
why?
how he's gotten away with it. There was one goal he scored. I think it was against City. Yeah, this guy, he was clean through. He took about 18 touches just to control the ball. I couldn't believe the fact that he still scored. It was only because he was against that ridiculous defender, Otamendi, who's stealing the living. I can't believe how bad he is.
one
How
day-
he's got
Man hits Joe Linton, man hits Mike Ashley. What?
That was the only goal that he scored as well. How about that?
Now, one day
He's so
ESPN
bad.
need to do a 30 for 30 documentary on Otamendi because every video of attackers, yeah, every comp of attackers, Otamendi's getting sourced on it. Every comp,
Obviously,
Every comp.
comp, bruv.
He's
It
in-
could, it could be
Hey,
Sarr, it could be Pulisic, it could be Messi, it could be.
Hey, what was the title? Hey, what would the
Otamendi's
title
on
be?
the floor code. I don't even know, bruv. A
What
life
would
of
the
a
title
stripper. A life of a stripper.
Dancing in the moonlight. Dancing in the moonlight.
Strictly come dancing. Man is how are you making Daniel Jace put you on the floor, bro? The guy ain't got a trick in his book.
Strictly come dancing is cold.
Shout out my boy DJ.
Cool.
Do you know what? Do you know what? On Newcastle,
Wrong pod for that, Seb.
I think they need a creator, big time, because that's what Almiron was brought in to do, and they spent about 30 mil on him. And they need a striker, and again they spent big racks on. They need a goal scorer, and they spent big racks on the striker. And he's clapped 1 goal. Almiron's clapped something like 1 assist the whole time he's been there. So those are like 2.
He's grabbed a couple goals this season, though, hasn't he?
Who? Almiron.
I'm on like 3 and
Yeah.
7, bruv.
I think in regards to Newcastle, it's a different era in it. So I think they're going City done because you got to think about it. Yeah. Currently right now, there's many teams that are in the process of a rebuild in terms of top teams as well. So you've got the Chelsea's, Man United's, you've got the Arsenal's that are in the process of a rebuild. So those are the top teams that, especially foreign players, they look at and they want to go to. Whereas before back day, you know, you got Man United winning things, and there's that one team there's just like one team that's looking for a rebuild. So whether that City was the one team and they were able to find value in the market because nobody else were after them. Everybody else was winning or competing. Nobody else was looking at all these other players. So they were able to come in, buy the players and pay the wages because everybody was gonna win anyway. They were focused. But now the competition will be too much for Newcastle, in my opinion. Like in regards to money, paying for the players, well, Man United can play. I don't know about Arsenal because them and I don't know, you know what I mean? But fucking Man United can play. In regards to wages, Man United and City can play because City are even looking for a rebuild as well. So in regards to Newcastle, I think they're going to find it tough. They're going to have to probably go like the scouting route first, try get into a cup competition, and then try splash once they've built up credibility like that. They can't just come in and try to take players because everybody else is going to be looking for those players. Maybe they could be looking at the lower leagues in the English leagues. Maybe that may be something that they could look at and look for talents there because again in England Newcastle are a massive name, but when it comes to foreign players, mate, they either want to go to the top teams or go and play CL. You've seen it with Man United. They've tried to go for many top players, and with the managers we've had, they've either said, no, they don't want to play for the manager, they want CL, Man United are not attractive enough, or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So if Man United are getting turfed by top players, Newcastle are going to struggle. They're going to have to definitely go the scouting route first, get a top coach in, maybe Jose Mourinho when he gets sacked or whatever, something like that, and then try get into Europa League and then move like that, man. It's not going to be easy like Chelsea and like how
And I
City
think
done
No,
it.
though,
It's
I
a
want to
different
coattail
landscape
one.
now.
on that,
Yes, different landscape, and everyone's more expensive as well. On top of
Everyone's
that,
got P, so it's harder just to got yak
yeah,
I
around.
want to coattail on what you said though, Sebi. On top of the fact that it's obviously a different era. Obviously, back when City were doing City, obviously Chelsea did theirs first when the foreign owner came in, and then City had their foreign owners come in. FFP wasn't as strict as it is now as well. So those times where you can just throw a bag at the wall and then obviously hope it sticks, and then obviously keep doing that over and over again, like City have been doing. You can't really do that anymore. So eventually, it's going to be like, oh, you're going to get fined, and we've seen this season that these guys are actually serious. So that this whole idea of I don't know, just throwing money. And don't get me wrong, I think they will get some decent name players because there will be some players who just be slotting for the P. Like they will be like, forget the Champions League. Like don't really care about too much about their career aspirations. It happens. They just want the money. So they'll get some players like that. But I think it's going to take a lot longer than a couple of years. Coupled with obviously the fact that you're saying a lot of players, a lot
yeah.
of teams are going through the rebuild. Like I don't understand why you choose. The only reason you'd be going to Newcastle, really and truly, as a foreign player, would just be for the P. Like this.
It's gonna be ages. It's gonna
The
be ages because
P,
like
but
it doesn't
also
make sense. Like every club in the world currently, yeah, all of their players either want to be at the club or want to go to bigger clubs. Like before maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, there were players that were cashing out with China. Do you know what I mean? They were just like, all right, cool, the China move, we're off. We're gonna get that 400k, 500k, and we're gonna be live in China or whatever, yeah. And
yeah.
that thing's kind of phased out. When you look at the landscape and you look at all the players and you look at all the teams, everyone's pretty much happy. And if they're not happy, they're gonna go to bigger teams. I haven't really seen in the recent years a player just moving for peas. I can't remember. You could probably remind me or whatever, but I haven't seen a player that said, "All right, cool, I'm just going here for peas." It hasn't happened in a while, from what I can remember. Maybe I'm forgetting the player. Do you know what I mean?
But you
But
have to
yeah,
remember as well, the Prem is a platform, isn't it? So players can see a Newcastle as a platform, that exposure because it's the most watched league in the world, and they can necessarily go from there. Obviously, with FFP, you're still allowed to invest a lot in your academy, isn't it? So for them, maybe it's that building that foundation for where they grow. So maybe that means spending a bit more money in getting younger players in who are going to go into their revamped academy, and it just means it's a longer project.
Do you
But
reckon
yeah,
yeah,
they'll
I
do
think
that though?
it's just gonna have to be a strategy thing more than an aggressive bully thing. It's gonna have to
they'll
be,
have to if they're trying to
yeah,
be serious. Like looking at their owners, or their potential owners, should I say? One of them, her name is Amanda Staveley. She's already been involved with deals
City.
between Barclays and the Prem, and also with City. And potential, there was some foreign investors who wanted to buy Liverpool at a point,
Yeah.
and she was also involved in that. So I think you have to set this out as a kind of like 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year remember we had a guest who called Lindelof a 7-year project. Well, this is your actual 7-year project here with Newcastle United. Cool. So I'm looking forward to that coming in. I'm just for more quality, more P's,
because
more teams competing at the
they are
top.
quite dire to watch.
Horrible.
They are.
Horrible.
They
I have
are.
to say though, yeah, I
So,
feel like
who would
Newcastle
you-
has been. I feel like it's
Go.
been. Oh, sorry, Moore, I didn't mean to cut you off. I feel like it's been a bit delayed. Like obviously, Mike actually tried to do
Yes,
it
you
a
did.
little bit a few years before, but I feel like this has been coming. Like this whole revamp of Newcastle because they weren't.
Yeah.
I know obviously we're banging on about the 52k stadium, but I mean there aren't nowadays. There are, but way back, well I say way back, a few years ago when there weren't that many teams with this kind of stadium. Even Liverpool, bro, we were like what 40k at Anfield. There's nothing.
Well, you know.
What's your capacity now, mate?
Now it's like 52.
Oh, okay.
Well, because obviously we bought that.
It's cute.
What's it called? The corners. Yeah,
Can the
don't
fact
worry about
checking
that,
boys
anyway.
check that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Something like that. But let me check.
A little 52k.
A little
54 still.
something like,
Okay, cool.
something like,
Something
something like,
something light for them.
something like.
Do you not have
Yeah.
do you not have escalators in there?
The
Do you
facility,
not have escalators in that
facilities
stadium?
checks.
Or what we say?
Nah, bro. Since the reach day,
Strictly-
it's in about
that's
Liverpool,
strictly
yeah.
said.
But since the revamp, it's been looking good, isn't it? Don't worry about us, yeah.
I hope you don't have nets above the crowd when Eric Costa.
All right, calm. So cool. So talking Liverpool, we had a certain back and forth between two. Well, I say two regular nemesis. One doesn't even know the other exists. But a little interesting back and forth this week between Paul Pogba and a certain Mr. Graham Souness. I'll start with you, Pelumi, obviously, because you're outside of this particular. You shouldn't have any skin in the game. What was your originally on? Firstly, what Paul Pogba said, and secondly, the reaction of Souness, Carragher, and the Sky Machine, should I say?
I think it came across like humble, in terms of like a not. He didn't look like he was trying to take the mick. Basically, when I saw the video and when I heard the clip, I think it makes a lot of sense that one, based on like his nationality and also his age, that he wouldn't know where like necessarily what Graham Souness was about as a player, and even just acknowledging that like he's heard stuff about him being a good player. I thought that was him kind of not trying to disrespect him almost specifically. But then I think one of the, and even me, for instance, like I'm 22, I do not know anything about Graham Souness other than like the fact, other than like that thing about him accidentally signing a player that wasn't even good or something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like I thought it was a little bit ridiculous.
Pelumi, do you know that he was a shambles as a manager? Do you know that?
Like, not entirely. But like
Alright.
my point is kind of like
Important to know that as well.
I don't think it's that important personally, but I think like genuinely it just seemed like another excuse basically to just for them to kind of get a headline, even in terms of his response to like put your medals on the table or whatever. It seemed like it seemed a bit disrespectful to what Pogba had done prior to him coming to Man United and his career like up until this point. That's kind of how I thought about it, or felt about it rather.
Cool. Obviously, Souness is a club legend for you, Harold. How embarrassed were you with this whole fiasco? I'm not even asking him if he was embarrassed or not. I'm asking how embarrassed.
How
No,
embarrassing.
I was very embarrassed, but it was more of like because obviously going on back of what Pelumi just said, like Pogba was so calm about it. Like he genuinely didn't know who he was, which is okay. Like it's fine. I'm the kind of person that gives people benefit of the doubt. I'll say that maybe they just gave Souness like a quote as to what Pogba said about the tone or whatever. But I'm never going to do that here. I think he's just being outrageous. Like I think, and even Cara backing him up, being like, "Oh yeah, you should know who he is." No, man, it's all right. Like it hasn't. Him not knowing who Souness is hasn't affected his game. He still managed to win a World Cup without knowing who Souness is. It's all right, man. Like it's okay. Life goes on. I have to say though, yeah, it was worth it just so I could see those clips of Souness banging ball. Oh my goodness. A man tackled.
That's what I was going to get onto.
A man fouled someone and then threatened to punch him. I said, what? What is going on? It was hilarious. Just for that alone, yeah. Just so I can look back and be like, yo, football has grown leaps and bounds just for that, yeah. But seriously embarrassed, man.
Yeah. That was the next point I was going to go on to. Opinions on Souness as a player. Who's actually gone back off the back of the comments to actually take a look at some highlights?
I looked at him.
Or it's
did.
just
I
it's
did.
just a combination of like just reckless tackles.
I did.
That's what it is, man.
I looked at him.
Yeah, go on, talk to
You know what? From the bit I saw of him, he's what today's people or non-Man United fans think Roy Keane was back in the day when he was playing. But Roy Keane was actually a baller.
No,
Nah,
You're lucky
Rocky
because,
could pass.
you're
Keane could
lucky
play.
because man was about to start coming for you still. Like we didn't.
Yeah, no, Rocky could.
No, Harold was an honourable.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
that's what I'm
You
Harold's
see-
an honourable man.
I'm saying that as it is. No. Keane was a baller, and I think people don't appreciate it because obviously he had that. We had more
that
than
ministry,
enough
innit?
like spats
Yeah,
with
yeah.
people. Yeah. But he was
Yes.
a baller. Like he was a
No,
good player.
soon as I'm not even gonna lie. When I look back at the clip, he's like the youths that I just say, listen, just win the ball and pass the ball to me. Like, you know, when I look at my man, yeah, he's so fucking shit. Like, man, like, bro, I don't even understand like what was going on then. Like, it's like my man had a couple LOs and then just went out to play. Just fuck it. We're just gonna go out to play and just fuck it. Like he like drinking inshallah. My one was just like, he's burst. He's just gonna just smash anybody, the first person he sees, and then kind of go from there, bro. Nah, he is like as in I would have loved to play against Souness. Like me now, like me overweight, I'd like I think I'd boss him. I think I'd boss Soon, like put it through his legs and that, and like top bins. Like he is rubbish, bro. Like he can't chat to Pogba, and he was talking about the medal thing. The medal thing, your fucking shit medals that I could have won, bro. Like put me in your squad, I could have bossed it at that age, bro. At Liverpool, then, fam. Mum's life, yeah. If I was in the days that Souness was playing, the kids will be talking about me on Black History Month. Like, oh yeah, he was such a player. He was such a player, bro. Two overs. I've got bare compilations of that.
Jackie Robinson.
Yeah, Souness was shit, bro. Souness was rubbish, absolutely rubbish, mate.
Black History Month. Wow.
It was rubbish.
You should watch. Like the thing is, cause I listened to the podcast there, and it was interesting. Because at first, I can't lie, Pogba was talking a little bit of stick talk because he's like, they asked him about all the people that talk about him, and he's like, yeah, it's weird. Like I'm injured, and man are talking about me. I'm like, raw. Like I'm not even playing. But he said, I never seen them around, but when I see them around, I'm gonna ask them, innit? So it's like, yeah, that's the energy I want.
Yeah, check him, yeah. Check him, man.
Like, man, not even knowing, but I heard it was good though. Like, I heard it's alright. Obviously, yeah. When Sky heard this, they must have been
Rubbing their hands together like Birdman.
I don't think Carragher,
Content is content.
I don't think Carragher was being serious.
That invested. I think he was laughing.
Carragher knew what he was doing, so straight away he was like, I can't wait, yeah. So then he's like, so what do you think about that Souness? Don't you think that's so disrespectful? And you can see, no Carragher's a proper wind up. You could see he was busting up, yeah. Just got rattled, yeah. Put the medals on the table. I'm like, big man, he's won as many medals as you, and he's still got like another 5 to 8 years to play, bruv. And he's probably made about as much money you made in your career in 1 week. So if you're talking about putting your medals on the table, like you could put the World Cup on the table, and the table will flip over.
Yeah, put the World Cup on the table, bro. That's what I'm saying.
When people talking about, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna YouTube Souness, innit? Because I did the same thing when people were saying George Best is like this amazing player. Like he's not United's best ever player. So I YouTube George Best goals, and I was actually dying, yeah, because the stuff I was doing, yeah, were new. Anyway, what Souness now, fam? The standard of football then was so bad, yeah. Even the way man striking the ball was nuts. Like he had a heavy touch as well. Heavy
pitch
touch.
quality, pants.
There was no pressing.
Yeah, the pitch.
Everybody's waved. So everybody's waved to the pitch. We're not even pressing. Everybody's waved. And this time the man talk about, he won 3 Champions Leagues. There was like 5 man in the Champions League every competition, bro.
What the fuck?
There was like 5 people.
Well, don't worry, Harold. Don't worry, Harold. We'll touch on it because obviously he's coming at your club's history, innit? Football heritage.
We won 6 times, bro. You won it when there was like 5 teams playing, yeah. Them times, Germany was 2 countries. East Germany, West Germany. I'm gonna hear about the Fugazi medals. The Champions League had what? 18? Was it 8 or 6? Was it 18?
12, man.
It was 16. It was 16. It was 16.
Sorry.
Man said 12. How are we going to get to
no,
1 from 12?
Man might be be doing the NFL thing. So I'm hearing, I'm hearing to win the Champions League, you play 8 games. There's 6 games in the group stage now. So basically the Champions League, when Liverpool winning it 3 times with Souness, was the same as a qualifying round and the group stage.
And the first round,
So like, man's not trying to hear that, bro. Any player now will absolutely wipe the floor of that generation. That's how sport works. Over the years, like Souness, I think, and the funniest thing about the Souness thing is that Souness and the media have been kind of trying to bully Pogba for years, isn't it? And Pogba doesn't say anything. Pogba says one thing, and all of them have risen to the defense of Souness. Like I saw an article with Robbie Fowler saying,
watch the 84 final and you'll see what Souness is
wasn't
like.
alive. I wasn't alive, and I'm 30. So what's going on? What's going on?
You know what is though this year? I feel like those ballers have the same nostalgia we do about some of our old ballers. You know how certain man was saying, Ronaldinho would have won a Ballon d'Or or would have won something amongst Ronaldo and Messi in these days. Yeah. It hurts for us because obviously growing up, Ronaldinho, my goodness, man reinvented skill moves.
Yeah, word.
So for us is like, obviously you can't chat Wassali's name or even like Ronaldo. So obviously these are like top tier, not to say Souness is like that, but the nostalgia must play a massive part for these kind of man. Because Fowler was a gunman. Why is he saying this stuff, bro?
No, but you have to remember these are who they, like you said, this is who they grew up on. Harold. So these are their heroes.
Morayo, I see a man saying Pogba could do well to learn from Souness. I said, learn what?
What?
If Pogba play like Souness, they'll ask Trident to come and arrest Pogba. Like they'll have guns out if you play like Souness. So a man that grew up watching, and he said on the podcast, like he grew up watching Ronaldinho and Zidane. Bear in mind, he's French, so he's seen Vieira. Yeah. He's seen, you know what I mean? He said talk about Yaya Toure. Yeah. He talked about playing with Scholes and Pirlo. But nah, he should forget that, man. He should go back to the 1970s and 80s. I watched Graham Souness. Billy No Name from Scunthorpe. Big man, stay calm, bro. Big man.
Get out of here, man.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point. Yeah, he's Scottish, but we'll keep it moving. Yeah, probably where he got his game from. Still, I think it opens up a wider, more interesting discussion about the evolution of sports, how we assess our legends, essentially. So obviously, people have come back with a retort like, yeah, obviously, Seb has said that if he went back in time, he'd be the best player in those leagues. I think it's an interesting one. It's a difficult one. Of course, if a player who is playing now went back in time with obviously all the benefits of modern sports science, etc., they'd be head and shoulders above. Head and shoulders, yeah? I was thinking head and tails. Head and shoulders above the guys who were playing then. Most of the time, they were all waived. But is there any players you look at from back then who, if they came to our time and had the benefits of all the modern advantages of the play, so the smoother pitches, obviously the sports science that I've mentioned as well, conditioning, etc., who you think they would be much better players?
How far back are we?
I was about to say, how far back?
Let's talk Souness's era, so the 80s, late 70s, 80s. Because obviously he couldn't have only been a hack merchant in it. Like my uncle used to tell me that he went to Sampdoria. I said they're not even popping. Yeah, he went like that's how much of a baller he is. He went to Sampdoria. I was like, all right, my guy. I ain't gonna. I'll let you have that one. But he must have had a bit of quality about him. But I tried to find some actual objective YouTube clips of him like passing it, shooting it, anything like that, but I was unable to find any. So yeah, if we're looking at players from that era coming forward to our time, what are the thoughts on the game, how it's changed, how it's evolved, who could thrive in that time?
I think it's a tough one because the whole culture was different. Like it was so normal for man to just be on the sidelines and smoke before the start of the game and then just run out onto the pitch. And them man were all half cut from drinking from like the night before, drinking like early doors, drinking on the way to games. So the whole culture around football was different, and there wasn't a lot of emphasis on fitness and that. So it's a kind of tough one. I'm looking at players from that Souness era and thinking like, maybe all of them would have fared better if the culture was different, or maybe they all would still be West. I don't know. If you're talking about like. If you're moving it forward a little bit, or if you're moving it into like the 90s, early 90s and that, then it's a bit different. But from there, it was all like just a norm.
Talk to me about the early 90s, because I mean, clubs still had a drinking culture in the early 90s. Arsenal legend, who you should know very well, Shabs, Tony Adams, he was still playing in 2002. He drank for the majority of his career, didn't he? I know that when Fergie came into United, the guys were still drinking. Paul McGrath, guys in the 90s,
I
the
think,
old.
I think Tony Adams is a good example because he spoke about Arsene Wenger prolonged his career from the point that he came in because of the way that he changed the culture. And Arsene Wenger done a lot to change the culture in English football around just fitness and regime and diet and all of that. So you could argue that like most of the players let me think of a English centre mid like David Batty, like a David Batty, a Tim. What's his name, man? Tim Sherwood. Like them, man. Them tough tackling centre midfield. Like they would have seen the back end of like that drinking culture, but also played in like into the millennium. So they would have seen a time where you could see like the back end of their careers. Actually, they were able to hang. They were able to hang. They had enough about them where they were able to
and
hang.
true say, and true say, yeah, it's like fucking like even remember when we see the picture of Matic with that that little Jack Daniel, what was it on the side on the side in the dressing room and that, yeah. But true.
1295,
But,
the
but
1295
true
special.
say, yeah, I feel like as the years went on, yeah, the ABV got a bit weaker. So like us man and that we're all mixing the drinks and that. So like probably like the 90s to now and that we're all doing 10% ABV when we mix it with like 90% tropical juice or coke or whatever. Back then, them man was smashing it straight from the bottle. They were just fucking, they were just having it, mate. They were just. They're fucking having it, bruv. So like, fam, like the level of waveness is definitely different, man. And to be fair, man, it's hard to kind of tell like who would like be able to translate into now, man, because it's like the pace of the game is crazy now. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like if even if we go on to people like you see on Twitter, everybody's posting their 5Ks. And we saw Ross Barkley 16 minute 5K. It's fucking mental. That is mental fitness. Like, so if you look at like players like that could do a 16-minute 5K, and he's not even like levels like that. And yeah, I mean, like I don't know, man. I don't see.
They're different. Today's players are a
Different breed, man.
I think everything about the game is
Yeah.
better. The quality technically, the quality
Yeah,
of the
the
pitch, the
standard of the
quality of
game.
the balls that they're
The standard of the
using,
game.
the organization, on the pitch, which is interesting because it brings me back. We've been having a bit of nostalgia this week. I think everyone's really missing football, so we've been kind of reminiscing about classic forward lines, classic teams, and one gripe that I have are people who are younger than me, so talking people born in 2000, 2001, talking about why is Platini not in the all-time European 11? What about Johan
Them
Nijtje
man are
holding it
fucking
down in
taking the
central
piss,
midfield?
man.
Them,
I hate them youths, man.
them,
It's
Them
like
man, them man out
you
there.
get them people that like my man. He's got some next Avi. His name's probably Ali. He lives in Scunthorpe, and he's watched a couple fucking videos of
What did they
fucking
scum for? What did they do to you?
yeah, no,
that's what I was going to say. What you not
yeah,
come
but
for?
I watched a couple videos of man. It's like yeah, like yeah, and he probably has got like his name on Twitter is probably Trequista or fucking
My days.
or them next names, man, or Regista or whatever. Regista, do you know what I mean? So I don't know, man. I don't take them people seriously, bruv. Like the modern day athlete, like you gotta think about it, yeah. Right now, for example, if we took the Corey, and we put him back in them times, he would pam all of them. Who pam all of them? Elite PMP, bruv. Do you know what I mean? And like, and you look at like him now, like he's just any midfielder in a prem. So I don't know, man. When they bring up players from back then, man, I don't even take it serious, man. I'm not taking them man serious. No.
The
You know
thing
what?
is, yeah,
You know what? Though?
who's even got
I
time
do
to
think.
watch? You know how hard
Hold
it
on,
is to watch? Oh, sorry, go on, Harold.
I was gonna say like we're on topic of talking about people who pretending to watch eras that they haven't watched. So boy, I ain't gonna pretend like I watched the 80s. I'm gonna say that flat out. However, like I feel like the Dutch were a little bit ahead of a lot of people when it come to just their style of play. And then I guess obviously there's a lot of talk about us getting a 4-3-3 from how they played and everything like that. I think players like Rijkaard and Hullet would fare better than most in the Challenge generation. Those like skillful, nippy wingers or attacking midfielders, I reckon they could do some work in today's
yeah, potentially. I think the players who are like top players, like just relative to their level, just had like good tech, good intelligence, decent PMP, and it made them just look miles and miles ahead of the competition.
Yeah.
So you're talking about them generational players like a Johan Cruyff,
Yeah,
a
that
Diego
man.
Maradona, etc., etc. When you watch them in their highlights, they're almost like they're playing another sport. Like the tempo and speed at which they're moving and shifting, the agility that they're using, the defenders can't even react to that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting. I guess we'll see where the game goes in the next 20 years, and if the younger guys coming up after us are looking back at the likes of Pogba, etc., and they're like, "Is this what these men were playing?" Man,
Yeah.
That would be nuts, man. Like how far could football get along so we're looking back at our players like this and we're like, "Raw, is that it?" That's mad.
I think certain man stand the test of time. So, for example, when you look at Maradona, you're like, "Yo, this guy was
Absolutely
mad."
cold. Yeah.
And even if you look at 90s football, you're looking like obviously this is the back end of the 90s. Looking at Rivaldo and R9, like
Fowler.
These man are.
Yeah.
You did. Come on, man.
Not even there, bro.
It's about Rivaldo.
Where's foul and that, man? Relax, man. Relax.
Top goal scorer in Premier League history for Liverpool, bro. Respect for Liverpool.
Relax, man. Relax.
Them caveat.
I was hoping you wouldn't notice, man. Look at you.
Caveat.
I think in 20 years' time, people look at clips and I think the players will be Neymar, Ronaldo, Messi, Ronaldinho, Iniesta, and I think Mbappe will join that, and I'll be like, these guys were nuts. They're gonna look at like KDB like, wow, all this man did was cross. Like, I think that's gonna happen, but that's neither here nor there. You get me? But yeah, no, I think obviously the likes of Neymar, Ronaldo, Messi, Maradona, those people who are like those generational players, because they're so ahead and they're just like making other people look inferior, they'll stand the test of time, definitely. But I still think like people look back at certain man like Beckham and Del Piero, like, yo, these men are nuts, but they were still from a further generation. It's just that cigarette generation of the 80s that man's not trying to, and also man's not trying to hit his Pele.
Yeah.
Sorry, are you not said you're not trying to hear this Pele talk? I think you lot should have. Let's not disrespect
Pele or Rashford.
What I said,
let's be serious.
Okay.
Pele or Rashford.
The thing is, what I was gonna say,
Rash is way better than Pele. Rashford is way better than Pele.
what I was gonna say before anyway.
Way better than Pele. All my life, I've seen Pele play, bro. I've seen the clips of my man play, bro. My man took a 2-2 spliff and then was just doing step overs here and there and whatever, bro. No PMP, no nothing. Nah, man.
Of course, yeah, you can break it down, obviously, like, in those regards to those aspects, and Rashford probably does have more about him than Pele. Can't even believe I'm saying that.
Hey, Pele, come outside. Pele, come outside.
I'm social distancing myself from that shot.
I think what you have to, when you're assessing it, I think first thing you have to assess is how much better than the players within their era they are, isn't it? So, obviously, these guys are general for what was considered a standard in the 60s. These guys looked foreign from them players, isn't it? And then you can, I guess, compare it across time. Yeah, obviously our game's fast, etc., etc. But I think you got to give a man like Pele his dues. Can't come on here and say a man that scored 64 goals, has got more about him than one of the godfathers of the beautiful game.
Outside, man. I just want to talk.
Pele.
What were you gonna say, Shabs?
Just like for players here of a certain era, do you know how difficult it is as well to get game footage of them playing? So, and this was like me going back to the Platini shot, but it's still relevant now. Like, who can say that they've seen Platini play a full 90 minutes? Like, it's so difficult to get. Like, you can't even get the foot. And if you do manage to find the footage, it's so grainy. The quality is poor. More time, you don't know if that's Platini or do you see what I'm saying? So like, even watching them game, unless you're watching it on something official like Sky Sports and they've remastered the whole thing, it's so hard. Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
Even Shabs, even like in more recent times, like I remember on Twitter, a man was like, "Oh, like Guti's better than Cazorla." I was like, "Are you high? Are you high?" He's like, "What are you talking about? Guti was so nang." I was like, "Big man, did you watch Guti play?"
He won this.
But it's because a certain man has a certain allure. So that we'll talk about in the Mugger chat today, Morayo, that we'll talk about certain man in 10 years' time when their tape is now outdated. We're just gonna remember the best of them, innit? The best of them, and they're gonna have a certain level of nostalgia. So like even now, people will like you couldn't say something like that. I've been saying like KDB is better than Gerrard or Lampard in goals, and people look at me like I'm crazy. Or I said stuff. Who did I say was better? I said yeah, like I'd rather have KDB than Pirlo. And people are like, what are you talking about? Pirlo. I'm like, I just think he's a better footballer, but it's the allure of right
Pirlo.
now. So now we're not even talking
nostalgia
about
as well,
nostalgia.
we're not even talking about okay, cool. Who's had more impact in the game, or who's got a better left foot, or who's a better passer? We're talking what you see of this player now versus my memory of them.
Your best memory. It's your best memory.
Now you're analysing a player where you can see all his faults and all his glory versus a narrative.
A player where you only remember his top.
And you can never, you can, and with some people you can never defeat the narrative. You know what I'm saying?
It's true.
That was
And
like
what you have to remember about Pirlo as well.
when they were doing that 11-11, doing like the best 11 on Sky Sports between Roy Keane and Carragher, and he was saying like Giggs over Mane. He's like, but obviously Giggs is my mate. Like, spent this much time with him. Like, there's no way I can choose him over Mane.
I remember United fans. Yeah, apparently I'm a United fan. They were killing me because I said on two separate occasions. I said Hazard is better than Giggs. And I said Mane is better than Giggs. And I said there's no contest between the two, especially Hazard. It's an absolute no contest. And people said, and then we descend into when you're evaluating players, people start talking about trophies. Okay, but the thing is,
that's how it happens.
If it was basketball, I could almost understand because it's a 5-man sport. If it was tennis, I can understand it's 1v1. But football's 11 aside. Because there's a reason why Giggs didn't do shit for Wales, because them man are trash. You see what I'm saying? If you put Hazard in Fergie's Man United for 20 years, Hazard's going to win 13 league titles.
He's going
to win everything.
I don't even think he's the best player in Prem history.
He's not, because he can't tie Gareth Bale's laces. So... Like that's the problem when you also evaluate in players, because then people just start running off their achievements similar to the Souness thing. Put you on the table. Like,
the achievements thing.
Not to minimize a player's achievement as a team, but if you're talking about individual as individual, you have to look at individual characteristics, and then if you want to compare awards, you have to look at individual awards. You can't look at team awards.
That's why I like it.
I was going to say that you just make a good point as well, because it works in the reverse as well. Like, there's players that have won, that have got achievements, team accolades. Like Jonathan Green is a Champions League winner. Yeah, Robert Perez has never won the Champions League. Are we about to say that Greening is better than Robert Perez?
Yes, we are. Yeah, we are.
I knew that was coming.
Do you think I could go to Sky Sports on a debate show and argue that Anderson was better than Steven Gerrard because Anderson won 3 league titles in the Champions League?
No,
you couldn't. You could argue, but boy, the sideways you get away. Come outside. Come outside.
Same breath, people on Twitter were telling me Steven Gerrard is not a Hall of Famer in the Premier League because he didn't win a Premier League title.
It's crazy.
Ridiculous.
It's crazy.
Ridiculous. One of the best individual resumes we've ever seen in the Premier League. Right. But going on to the next topic, one thing I wanted to get you lot's opinion on and just like hash out, have a little bit of a discussion, because this came out from our chat, was the best defender in Premier League history. Pelumi, you've been quiet. Obviously, I think you said you were born in 1998, so all this talk of the 70s, 80s must have your head spinning.
Are you kidding me?
So I'd like you to kick off proceedings. Give us a couple of names of players you would put to the table as the best ever Premier League defenders, and what about them made you choose them?
I think... it's hard with me and defenders. One, because when I was younger, I didn't appreciate what defending like was in terms of like the impact of like your team, the impact of playing in a good team and how that helps with defenders. I think like the only in terms of like Premier League history, it would probably be more recent history than like back in the day because
That's fine. You don't need to listen. You got some old heads on here with you,
so I'd probably
they
say
can do the back of the day stuff.
John Terry is a standout.
Yeah.
Van Dijk is a current standout.
Okay, why John Terry? I want to know a bit more about what about these specific players. Because obviously John Terry played in several systems with different managers. His best years tended to be under Jose Mourinho in defensive-orientated teams. But what about John Terry made you think of him first?
I think just like the fundamentals, so like the basics in terms of like being able to head the ball, the whole like body on the line and like typical English like getting in front of the ball and stuff. I think there's a lot of bravery, like mentally those sort of characteristics, leadership. I think he was like a standout. Like remembering him being really really good at like in those scenarios. He could pass, like. He could switch the ball, like
Underrated.
Yeah, like he could pass the ball. I was gonna say that like with his left, and I think just in terms of, I know that obviously your team accolades shouldn't count as much when you're discussing individual things, but I think at the same time, the era he kind of saw the team through as like being a stalwart in that team, I think that counts for something basically. So he's definitely one of the best. I think Van Dijk obviously is a no-brainer. I see a lot of like comparison between him and like old defenders, and I just think that, like especially in line with what is being said now, in terms of him, like how much further ahead players are as athletes. Like athletically is like fantastic. He's really, really, really calm, really composed. Just he's got like a above 8 in almost like every aspect you can think of. So I can't see him not being one of the best Prem defenders ever. Obviously, people then say longevity, and he's only been at the top for a little bit. But those two, Company, obviously injuries hit him. But I get in a similar vein to like Terry in terms of what he led his team through, but also what he was able to contribute to Man City. I think it was scary, like the difference in Man City's defense and their stability when he wasn't playing. So he's a massive. Those will probably be my top 3.
Your top 3.
Yeah.
Cool. Seb, what defenders would you add to that list that Pelumi has provided?
So, Rio, my number 1. Yeah,
Why
like
Rio?
just in regards to I think for me, he just pretty much had like everything. In regards to defending on the front foot, covering, tactical awareness, actually coming out with the ball and playing. Because Real could actually play, coming out from defense. Same thing, kind of like the English mentality, putting himself on the line of something he'd done. Passing, for me, I feel like Rio pretty much had everything. 1v1 defending, for me, I think he pretty much had he had everything. Definitely a Rolls Royce type of player. So I'll definitely put him up there. Do you know what? I was gonna say Vidic. I am gonna still say Vidic, but Pelumi for mentioning Company, because I actually forgot about him. For me, very, very for me, Company's best is better than Van Dijk. So people are like hyping Van Dijk right now, and rightly so. Amazing defender, but for me, he hasn't even reached the heights of Company yet.
For real, you think that?
Company, nah, man, he hasn't reached the heights of Company
I don't
yet.
think
Like there was some for me, in my opinion, yeah, there was some like clutch when it comes to clutch moments, Company was up there. Like in terms of being clutch for your team, being the captain, being the leader for your team, leading from the back. That's something that Company had in abundance. On top of that, when it comes to the very, very big games and important games, especially versus Man United in the derby, I've never seen a better defender against Man United. I've never seen one. Until this day, when it came to playing against us, Company turned into a Super Saiyan in terms of the level. In terms of Wayne Rooney wouldn't be able to breathe, like he couldn't breathe, like when Company was around him. So when it comes to stepping up his performances in the key games, because you have to remember at the time when Company was coming, beating Man United means winning the league.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he knows if I put in this performance against Manchester United, 9 times out of 10, this means that we've won the league, and he'd do that. So that's one thing I'd really, really rated about him, is that he stepped up in the really, really big games, and I haven't seen that yet from a Van Dijk.
But the thing is,
I rate Van
you know what,
Dijk.
though, to counter that point, I get what you said about him
Yeah.
stepping up and obviously being a good defender, but Company, he's had moments where he's obviously scored winners as well, which obviously is key, and that is clutch. However, there's been moments where Van Dijk has put in he's done key defensive instructions or whatever it may be.
Key
Like
defensive
that,
instructions.
That's an
yeah,
Trent,
that's
don't
a
go
new-
you know what I
there.
mean? You
That's
know what I
a-
mean? You know what I
Don't go
mean?
there,
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Jazz.
Anyway, you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Defensive
But-
instruction, that's a
oh
new
my-
one.
Hey,
Right,
offside,
focus.
hey,
No,
offside,
listen.
offside, ref. Hey,
KDI.
offside, ref.
Focus.
KDI.
Oh, yeah.
No, listen.
Oh, yeah, that's what we're doing, yeah. All right, cool.
Hey, man says still the play, you know.
Nah, let me
I
finish.
had that point, yeah. But to counter that point, my thing is about longevity. So one thing you could say, yeah, he's putting key tackles or whatever, but doing it over 1 and 2 seasons is fine. Do you know what I mean? But doing it over consecutive seasons and challenging for things consecutively and turning up to the big games every single season without a fail and being shown, for me, you can't really put a price on that. So that's the only reason why I've put him ahead of VVD, because of the longevity. You know, if Van Dijk goes on to now do it next season and the season after, then we're in a different conversation. Do you know what I mean? Because he's then proved, because we've seen, see the way how we rate Van Dijk. We've seen strikers in the Prem have a 20-goal season in the Prem. We've seen Darren Brent, people like them, man, come and bad out the Prem one season and then go missing. Do you know what I mean? So that's one thing that people need to understand.
Balled up the Prem and gone missing.
What did you say?
What do you say? Sorry.
So, but how many centre halves have you known to come bad up the Prem and then go missing?
No, I'm not saying, but we don't know.
It's like
Do you know what I mean? We
comparison.
don't
So
know.
basically, a lot of
Yeah.
fans are literally saying, off the strength of that one season he had last year, and obviously the bit of the season
Yeah.
before, he's in that conversation already.
Okay,
And
can I
what
point?
what you say?
What I'm saying is we see strikers have the same thing, do the same thing in regards to their respective team, and not be called the best striker in the Prem. So for me, I just feel like we just need to relax a bit, and then
Cool off.
We need to wait it out.
So,
See if he can sustain.
cool
okay,
off.
I've got a question. Okay, I've got. Hold on.
The argument of longevity is such a safe way.
Hold
of
on, I've got a question. I've got a question for Shabs, Disu, and I guess Harold will have to chip in because he's eager, because this is this guy who's on the chomping of it. Is there a minimum amount of time of excellence that a player has to show you guys to be put in a conversation in terms of all-time greats? I'll ask you first, Shabs, then Disu, if you can follow.
If it's relative, isn't it? It's all relative, because players don't have the same lifespan or career span in the Premier League. Do you see what I'm saying? So
Okay.
to compare doing a comparison of Virgil van Dijk, for example, versus a John Terry. Terry had his whole career in the Premier League, whereas Van Dijk's played there for what, like, what is it, like 4 seasons now?
Yeah.
Something like that. Southampton and then to Liverpool. So I think you do have to err on the side of caution, but I would lean towards, like Sebi's point about consistency. I want to see consistency over a sustained period of time.
How long though?
Yeah. I think you need like a couple of seasons of consistent performances under your belt. So you need like 2-3 seasons of consistent performance under your belt for me to say, if I can see, boom, you've come in, you've had a great first season, you've maintained it for a second season, and you're into your third now, and you're still performing at the high level, no one can talk about you. What can anyone say?
Okay,
No one can say nothing
so
to you.
you're saying you need that third season before they're even in that world-class discussion?
You said all-time
Not
greats.
necessarily world-class Yeah.
Yeah, you said all-time greats. Yeah.
Yeah. So are you? So I guess this is around the same point for you, Disu. Can a player come out of obscurity and put at that top table after one top-class season? So say relative to a striker coming out of nowhere and bagging 40 goals in all comps.
Well, to me, it depends on what I see from the striker, innit?
Okay.
So I'm somebody I judge on ability, and to me, if your ability is clear, your ability is clear. Sometimes you can see somebody who's nuts, sometimes it could just be 30 minutes watching him. You like, this guy's nuts. You see what I'm saying? So the first time most of us watched Messi, we instantly said, this guy's nuts. When Suarez touched the Prem, even though he was missing chances, we could tell this guy's nuts. You see what I'm saying? And some people are like, oh, we need to see it more. I remember people saying, is Suarez world class after the first season he banged? I'm like, oh, you're not dumb. So they had to wait for him to go to Barca, score a gazillion goals, then to confirm
What you'd already seen.
What you should have already known. So that's not my thing. So it depends. Like sometimes a man can come out slap bare goals, like we saw Belotti for Torino, and the man was saying 100 M's. The next season he scored like 5. So you have to stay calm. But some people like Harry Kane, when I watch Harry Kane, instantly I can say no, this guy's different because the way he's striking the ball is violent. You see what I'm saying? So with Van Dijk, I think Van Dijk is in the top 3 defenders I've ever seen in the Prem. For me, it's Rio, Van Dijk, and Terry are my top 3. The man I've already spoken about Terry. But the reason I think Rio and Van Dijk are in the top 2 is because they can play in any defensive system. We saw Terry play on high lines on the AVB, and it was scary. It was very scary. But Van Dijk and Rio, because of their athletic ability and ability to defend 1v1 situations, they are able to be in multiple systems. Why I think the Van Dijk stuff is cap is because people keep saying 1 season. That's not true. It's not 1
Southampton
season.
as well.
It's not 1 season because, and this is not what do you call it, revisiting history, because people listen to the pod in them times, and Morayo, you could testify. Me and Mies was saying Van Dijk is probably the best defender in the Premier League when he was at Southampton, and I think people do certain things like because a man's at a club that's not levels, you're not trying to give man the accolades that he deserves because he's at clubs that's not levels. And I remember people doing this with Toby Alderweireld. How he was playing at Atleti and at Southampton was no different to how he was playing at Spurs. It's just like his platform was bigger. Same thing with Suarez. He didn't just transform into a Super Saiyan. He was wavy at Ajax, came to Liverpool, slapped at Liverpool, went to Barca, slapped at Barca. So Van Dijk already had a top-class season before he came to Liverpool. And then, did he come in January?
He came in January,
So he at least had a season and a half. And then he's had a season since. So he's had 3 years. And he's been sick this season. So he's had 3 years already. So what do people want him to serve world hunger? It's ridiculous. He's the best defender in the Premier League by distance. He's probably the best defender in the world by distance. And he's one of the best in Premier League history. People put Ronaldo up there as one of the best in Premier League history. And if we're being completely and utterly true, he had 3 seasons of absolute madness.
Meadiness.
The 3 seasons, because bear in mind, he was a young boy. So from 18 to 21, he was inconsistent, but he was cold. From 21 to 23, 24, when he went to Madrid for World Record fee, he was a madman. But he's in a Premier League great for being a madman for 3 years. So why can't Van Dijk be in a Premier League great for being a madman for 3 years?
I think on just on like putting players in like in these brackets, I have a question about just whether or not like it matters if they have like a dip in between. So if you've got 2 years, your first 2 seasons, but your middle year, and nothing like the third year is crap, but the 4th year is good.
How crap are we talking though?
I'm talking Hazard 1 goal crap.
Oh yeah, scary season, Steve.
For me, if we use Hazard as a reference point, it didn't have any impact on my rating of him. Like,
fair. But so
I still thought he was one of the best players in the Premier. He had a bad year.
So
I think what it does make you appreciate.
That was the anomaly.
Yeah, what it does make you appreciate though is those players, and I mean when we say those players, we're only talking about the big boys, Ronaldo and Messi, who have consistently year in year out been top.
No injuries,
top.
nothing.
And you look back through football history. And really, they're almost in a class of their own in regards to... I think they are in a class of their own in regards to that. You cannot point to any player who's had more than like perhaps 5 years in a row of just insane form. Attackers especially. Of 5 years in a row.
Maybe like Gerd Muller, if you want to take it all the way back.
I was thinking of Gerd Muller, but them man there, boy.
Yeah, too old.
Allow me, bro. Man played for West Germany. Nah.
He won it all, though. He won it all, though.
Yeah, bro, when the World Cup...
Trophies on the table.
There was colonization then times. I'm not trying to
the World Cup medal was even heavier then, so if you put on the table with Pogba, he's just flipping it over.
That's a big goal,
cool. So we've got Rio, Van Dijk, Terry, Company, and you said Vidic, Seb, yeah?
I actually think Carvalho over Vidic, you know?
Relax.
All right. Now let's talk on it.
Relax.
I think one thing. Sorry, Harold. I think one thing that I would say about Terry, absolutely rate him. Think he's top tier. One of his best seasons was when he had Carvalho and Gallas playing left back. Like that was one of his best seasons, and like they won. I'm sure like they won the league. It might have been their first season or second season winning the league. But obviously Terry took all the accolades. But the dog work that Carvalho put in, yeah, Carvalho and Gallas covered absolutely everything for him. You know what I mean? And then like our white knight in shining armor took all the glory.
Yay.
But no, it's true. I'm speaking facts. But I think Carvalho, like he was definitely not underrated, but maybe did. Yeah, he's underrated. He didn't get as much accolades, I think, as he deserves in that Chelsea side.
I think it's
how important.
Terry was carrying all of them, bruv. Like Carvalho, all he was doing was dragging man's shirts in the box, bruv.
No. That's disrespect. Come on.
Carvalho was doing bits.
In the Premier League, great. So how many men are better than Carvalho, bruv? That's a joke, bruv.
No, Carvalho.
Wait. You know what? Let me argue my point. You know what's funny though? Because obviously when Vidic and Ferdinand were playing together, it was always a case of. Well, you guys can refresh my memory if I'm wrong. For me, it was always a case of Vidic being better than Ferdinand. Well, media portrayed that anyway. For obviously for you personally, it may be different. Fine,
no,
cool.
for reality, it was never that case ever in life.
Okay, cool. But anyway, growing up, it was always like Vidic was the main guy, and then Ferdinand was there also. Not to say that not to underplay him, but he was. You
have to remember that Ferdinand and Carvalho.
Oh, refresh.
Yeah. So, So what I was gonna say is fucking. In regards to Vidic and what Morayo was saying in regards to Vidic and Rio, I think it was more so Vidic was like the man's man. So that's what people used to say. Yeah, people used to say that Vidic was like a man and used to put his face more so rather than being the better player. He was just getting the hype for being the blocking man, being the hard guy, sticking his head in, not more so. Yeah,
you're number one and your number two striker, though, isn't it? Did you not see? Have you not seen that soccer box? I can't even remember whose it was. It might have been Gerrard's one, but it was basically talking about the strategy when they played United.
What was the strategy?
And they said they knew that they would lining Torres up against Ferdinand. They knew Ferdinand was always going to win his one-to-one battle. So they would always get Torres to stand on Vidic's side.
Yeah, I
remember. Obviously, and then in the game, you see Vidic had two casualties. There was there.
Yeah, there was a period of about 2-3 games.
Torres smashed
against Liverpool.
The only man
there was a period, and I have to say, I do think, even as a Liverpool fan, I think it was overstated. Everyone was thinking every time Torres played Vidic, it was a red card, it was an own goal. It wasn't all the time. There was a
couple of games. Yeah,
exactly. That was it. That really was it.
That's still relative a lot because you don't see that many games on Terry's CV or Rio's CV compared to Vidic in a short period of time. Vidic was just a more all-action player, but because of his lack of athletic ability, you know them ones when a centre-back is dragged out wide. So in the Premier League now, I'm sure Arsenal fans might feel like that about Socrates. United fans, we feel about that when it's Maguire. It's just, or Liverpool fans might feel like that when it's Lovren. Is techie, and that's what used to happen. So if Vidic was in that left, because Vidic used to play on the left-hand side, once he gets drawn in that left-back area, it was curtains. He was clattering. It was a yellow card minimum.
No man's land.
Because the guy skipping past him. I remember one time Milan Barros was ducking man down. I was like, this is scary. This is what I'm saying. but Vidic was a defender. I want to talk about company, yeah.
Go on.
Controversial. I think company's rep is so inflated, it's scary.
Fam, thank you. That's exactly how I feel.
I can't believe I'm hearing
Let's talk on it.
About him.
Let's talk on it.
I think he's rep inflated.
It's a joke. Do you know how many times, even the big game things is capped? It was only against Man United, and man will come and score a box header, yeah? But do you know how many big games man was getting sauced on? Oh my God.
Company.
Yes, I remember when they bucked Madrid.
You got to bring receipts.
Oh my God, man was getting draped by Benzema and Ronaldo. Jesus Christ, what a!
It was only the recent years where people started to respect company more.
Years when I think we lost. I think it was under Jose, and we lost. I think it might have been. Oh, we went away and we got sourced on by City. Yeah, but I remember Rashford and Martial were pamming him. And then Pep made a tactical change where I can't remember who was playing right back, but they were just bombing on hard.
Must have been Walker.
And then this might have been Pep's
Zabaleta.
Zabaleta. Yeah. So this might have been was his Pep's first year.
First season had to.
So Marshall had to keep on chasing him back, and then that tactic was done. And even after the game, Company was bare out of breath, like, oh yeah, Marshall and Rashford are sick, you know? Yeah, of course. Man, I'm making you stank. You see what I'm saying? So what was good about Company? Because remember, Company initially came in and he was playing DM when he first came in the City rebuild. So Company is very good on the ball. He's actually quite strong in 1v1 situations, and he's very physical. But Company can get sourced on. You see what I'm saying? I don't think Company is in the same bracket as the Terrys, the Van Dijks. From what I hear, I'm not too sure because I was quite young when Sol Campbell was coming up, so I can't really put him in there. But people say that, people I trust say that, I can't talk about that. But Rio, Van Dijk, Terry, I think they're bracket above Company. I think Company's in there with Vidic and maybe
Carvalho.
Nah, Carvalho's not even in that bracket for me. Vidic.
Wow.
Maybe.
What you guys feel on that man like Ledley King?
Bruv, man's got a career because Henri rated him in a presser one time.
No,
yeah, I remember Henri.
Ledley was clear. Ledley was clear. He was clear, like technically and physically, but it was the injuries, man. Like
that's cute.
he couldn't run. When Ledley first passed, he said, "Yeah, that's cute." When Ledley first passed, he was one of them, man. He had it all. He was like a giant of a man. Like, you know, he was quick. He could cover the ground quickly. You're not doing him in a 1v1, really. But yeah, it's the injuries, man. They just finished him, man.
Two of those things were the same. He was quick. He could cover the ground quickly. I like that. When within the first three attributes, you're repeating one twice. You're sticky.
No, he could cover lots of ground. There's a difference between pace and acceleration, bro.
Yeah, I hear you.
All right,
Two different
things.
30 league games twice in his career. That is
it's horrible. No, it was horrible, man. He had his own training regime. Then once they had to go do some special stuff. Swimming pool.
Are there any defenders coming up who you guys are rating and thinking they over the next 5 years or so can
in the Premier League?
Potentially, in the Premier League can potentially join that conversation of Premier League greats.
Laporte? I think
Laporte.
I agree. Laporte.
Or you can look across the back line, or to trick the
Maguire.
If it's tricky centre back,
come on, Seb, man. Too much hello.
Oh, man.
Too much hello.
Seb, man. Let me down with this one.
Gomez.
Man.
Who said Gomez?
Joe Gomez.
Who do you think said Gomez? There's only one man.
I
Gomez.
hope all those night boxes drop that on your stupid heads. Is man alright? Talk about great.
Wait. No, you don't think so? No.
He's 22.
How old is he?
I like Joe Gomez.
He'll be a good player.
So what do you not think of it?
Nah, he's a good player still.
I like Joe Gomez, man.
He's a good player. Like, let me not hate. He's a good player.
He's a good youth.
He's a good youth.
He's 23 this year.
You just said he was 22, Pelumi. Which one
22,
is it,
23, one of them, man. Don't matter.
I'll check.
He's only a big man already, bro.
Yeah, so if he plays 7 more years,
22.
Nah,
bro,
man's not having it.
He's young, man.
But how are you rating? How are you rating his performances now? Is what I should be saying.
I think he's got like he's got everything a modern defender should have in terms of like the athleticism. He's incredibly composed.
That's what people say about every black defender.
Oh, allow it, man.
Not every.
He's incredibly composed. I think the only thing he lacks,
nasty, man.
proper nasty. I think the only thing he really lacks is like the kind of aerial dominance in terms of really being able to kind of overpower people.
He's a big lad as well.
There's a little bit of awkward. There's a little bit of awkwardness there, yeah. Like 6'2" must be.
The thing is, though, Virgil's cleaning everything in the air, though.
Obviously as a partnership, but him individually, I think it's something that like he might end up being known to like sweep up as opposed to someone that like dominates or overpowers his opponents. Obviously, recovery runs and that, but then it's like when you lose your pace, or should you lose your pace, like as he gets older, will he still be able to kind of prolong his career? But
covers a lot of ground in that.
Yeah, and covers it quickly.
The other thing I would say is I think this is still improving, but reading of the game itself.
Okay.
Just game management itself. So obviously being next to Trent, I feel like he's got fantastic experience for exposure and fantastic experience for exposure and 2-on-1 defending. So he's
2-on-1, you know.
Yeah, so he's reading of the game from there, I can see it's clearly gotten better from his ankle injury that
Is
he had.
it not Van
this
Dijk's
year.
defensive instructions are helping him?
Harold don't love his team, you know.
No, what do you mean, bro?
Harold doesn't
keep
love
it
his
real.
team.
I'm
He's
just
using them for
honest,
entertainment.
Nah, I'm just being honest, man. I'm saying that how it is.
They're gonna get you.
Nah, not even.
No,
Nah,
I
I'm just saying how
respect
it
it.
is. I say that it's getting better, but I think that's something that can improve along with his aerial prowess.
No, he's a really good player, but you lot said Premier League great. You lot stay calm, yeah.
No, eventually.
No,
he said
eventually.
Eventually.
Anyone
Anyone else?
Who then?
Just who said Laporte?
That's it.
Oh yeah, you said Laporte.
Because he's back.
Laporte is what is he already? He's like 26, 27,
Yeah,
no?
but Laporte
He's a big man.
Outside Van Dijk, Laporte is clear of everybody, so that's why I say it.
Yeah, no, Laporte is up there though. Laporte is up there for right now. Yeah, Laporte is up there right now.
I got a shout just depending on injury. Eric Bailly.
What?
Depending on injury.
Morayo put his hands on his face.
But he's better than Gomez, to be honest.
Gomez, and you lot talk about Gomez. What?
Shut up.
He's better than
Get out of
Gomez.
here, man.
He's better than Gomez, man.
Get out of here.
No, no,
You're
but-
out here using a criminal.
You guys don't like Bailly, man, because his tech is unorthodox. Like, it's too African for you, man.
Listen,
Racist, man. You man are racist,
Man, I hate
You
him
man are
because
racist.
he's Pan-African. Word to my guy, Dr. Uber.
Real talk,
Whatever, man. Whatever.
real talk, man.
Give me the Europeans.
I think-
Give me the Europeans
I think
alive, man, right now.
This podcast is for Africans.
This is an African-only podcast. Damn Neanderthals. What I was going to say is, does Bay even have one good season in his, or one top season in his resume?
He does. His first season was top, though.
Yeah, first
Forget about it.
it's just injuries.
Forget about it.
When Jose used to praise him for playing injured.
Yeah, man, it's just injuries, man. Fuck him.
Hey,
What are you saying?
Jose had
Ledley after Ledley, yeah?
Jose had Pele doing laps in a random park during.
Jose's rude.
Jose's the rule.
You will never make it.
In the
I'll pay good money to see Jose's face.
No.
Imagine,
My goodness.
imagine, yeah.
But
He rang on his doorbell. He said, "Big man."
Imagine, yeah.
He rang his doorbell. Listen.
Jose was watching the Pele do drills like, you cannot make it.
You would never make it. You would never make it.
Breathing heavy.
You know me with my pregnancy.
remember, it was Ndombele, Sessegnon, and Aurier. I'll leave it at that.
The racist.
Imagine, yeah. It's like 12:45, yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
You've logged on and you've just seen Seb post a Nike run. So okay, cool. I want to beat Seb's time. You get me? So you go to your park, you put on your your Nike Reacts. You got your headband on. You got your Apple Watch, and you see Jose looking at Ndombele. You'll never make it. You'll never.
You will never make it. You can never make it. Imagine that, bro. You just let him run it, bro. Imagine you live in North London, you got to walk your dog, like quarantine thing. You see Ndombele doing laps, bro, doing doggies as suicides.
Jose's a war criminal.
If you're not taking Ndombele, he's the funniest player, yeah, because he will actually he will not move. When he gets the ball, he is nuts, yeah. Oh man, defense splitting pass, and then he just turns off.
There was that game against Burnley where I saw Cara break it down.
Bro,
he was walking.
Oh, when he got the ball,
what, that game where he done one sprint? That was the beginning of the end for him.
No, he did
that was the start of all of these problems.
No, when he got the ball 6 times, he was in a madness. But every other phase of play, scary.
There was one that I think Burnley were breaking, and they were showing him chasing back, and man was just like, whatever's quicker than walking but slower than jogging. That's what he was. That's what he was doing.
He's taking it.
And it was like, he honestly only needed to like semi-jog once, and he would have got the man. Yeah.
Do you know what it is? Yeah, it's like when last season before he came and that. Yeah, that's one of the things I said about him. I just don't know about him off the ball. Like, and the thing is, I hadn't watched him extensively, but when I've seen it, like I saw him in a few preseason games, and then I also saw him in the Champions League, and amazing, wicked on the ball. But then I was picturing him and Pogba, and I said, imagine him and Pogba in the same United team. Christ. Whoever is the holding midfielder is finished. Like, whoever,
Souness will have a field day, bro.
they'll be
Done.
finished. They'll be finished, and
Souness
I'm
will say
so
the last.
glad.
Listen.
How McTominay got his new legs, like, you know that.
Fam,
I'm so glad that he
Souness will say the hard ER on live TV, and no one will be able to stop him.
Fam. That's a 2-for-1 deal for Souness. Are you fucking mad?
Brutal. As soon as we'll be having a field day.
Oh damn! No.
Cool. Yeah. So with that being said, thank you for that, lads. Quite delightful. Want to thank you all for coming on this evening. Everyone stay safe. We'll see you all next week.
Peace.
Peace.
Catch you, man.